My first approach to guitars was as a player. I start playing guitar. After a while, I start doing repairs. Basically, starting on my own guitars. After I start doing repairs on my friends' guitars, the friends of friends, and things start to make bigger. And at some point, I start reading a lot, studying a lot about guitar making, process, techniques, about woods, and around 2010, more or less, I make the decision to start making guitars at first for myself, and it was the born of the Rui Silva Guitars. Like a challenge to myself, I decided, oh, I don't want to buy more guitars. Basically, was something like that, and I start making. I work as a musician and as a music teacher. Actually, I start studying piano, but I don't know to explain. My love is always guitar and basses and stringed instruments. So it's like a passion, you know. When you see a guitar, it's a perfect instrument. Is my thing. It's not perfect, of course, for everybody, but it's like a calling. No, I need to be in my life doing things related with music, and in this case with guitars and basses, because normally in this job, the market or the public tends to, okay, you prefer doing guitars or basses. Man, today I still cannot decide. I really enjoy do both instruments. I really love make basses. I really love make guitars. There are some years, I don't know why, I make more guitars, others I make more basses, but I really enjoy make both instruments. Cannot pick just one of those. This one was my first full entire guitar. At the beginning, first I made a body for a friend that already has a neck, and this one was my first guitar. I'm quite happy for first instrument, you know, a simple guitars but effective, I think. This was my first bass and was for my wife, Vanessa. She plays bass, and well, I never did for someone else. This design was a bit different, a bit crazy in terms of aesthetic. I start always hearing the player. His choices about sound, about the playability, and after that, the taste about designs. For example, of course, we have no. I like single cut designs. I like double cut designs. I like flat tops, or I like carved tops. So everything starts with hearing the customer, in this case. After that conversation, we need to think about woods. What wood suits most the taste of customer, and at the end, colors, I don't know, finishes, pickup configurations, everything. Yeah, but it's really easy when the customer knows what he wants. I have my vision of the designs. For example, this design started with a base that I made. My model Zeus base is a single cut base, and for example, it took me almost 2 years to develop this design. I always feel that there are something missed or very close to another brand, and I don't want that. But I like also to maintain my designs and do small modifications. It's like I'm giving my personality to the designs, you know. For example, a base like that. It's of course inspired on a precision, for example, but with different ergonomics, with different access, and I'm always doing that, you know, maintain some type of aesthetics, but changing some elements to make new instruments. Woodworking should be perfect. We need to have a perfect woodworking for a good looking instrument. Otherwise, when you apply finishes or when you assemble everything, it will not work perfectly, you know. So if you are perfect making all stages from the root, you will have a good instrument. If you need to compensate some fails at some point, in my case, I prefer to discard the instrument. The most difficult part, I think, are the finishes. The finishes makes the difference between a normal instrument and a superb instrument. Could apply a good finish, a good thin finish, well buffed, well applied, is probably the most challenging part of the building, I think. It's amazing when you finish an instrument and you just assemble parts. That means that instrument was really well designed, and you don't need to compensate nothing in terms of setup, you know. A perfect nut, when you apply the hardware, everything is perfectly centered, balanced. Okay, you just assemble the instrument. When you need to compensate that means that, in my opinion, of course, that means that there are some kind of mistakes during the process. I normally prefer use modern finishes. I tend to use polyester base coat and polyurethane clear coats. Of course, when customer wants, I do nitros. I apply finishes, a part of Rui Silva instruments. I apply finishes for 8 brands now. So I use everything that is available, but my preferred choice is modern finishes. I'm not a fan of nitro finishes. They are a bit more easy to apply, nitro. It's true, a bit more easy to buff. But in terms of curing time, of health, and even of residues, I prefer using the modern finishes. Normally, I use, for example, for satin finishes, I like to use acrylic urethane finishes. For gloss, polyurethane, and for base coat, polyester. There are some Sometimes that I use polyurethane for base coats too. Depends of the taste of the customer. But for my brand, polyester base coat and urethane top coats. Yeah, basically we already have some traditional colors on the market, of course, introduced by big brands. Also, I have a big catalog of colors. I think right now customer can choose between 9,000 colors. Normally we do samples, and a lot of people just ask traditional colors. It's interesting, for example, when I work with other brands, in this case they prefer to come here and pick their exclusive colors. I like this metallic, I like this solid, so it's good because in my case I'm not just working with my personal choice. So I'm always refining to my personal choice, because there are some colors that I not pay attention if they were not requested by someone. So I remember now a copper-like metallic that I never pay attention, but a customer asked me to use it on a refinish. And I introduced this color on my guitars. So because when you have so much colors to select, is really hard to choose, you know. We are not making fast food, you know. It's very important know your position in the business. I cannot sell more guitars than I can make. This is the point. It's true that when you have a lot of your time making instruments, sometimes you don't have time for that kind of promotion, you know. Probably if you have less work, you will have more time. Social media, I think that is a job nowadays, you know. Luthiers normally we like to make instruments. It absorbs a lot of time. It's very important. I'm trying to be more active than I was before, because it's really important. It's not just make a good instrument. People need to know the luthier, the brand, what you do. And I agree that sometimes with luthiers could be a problem, because we are so into our job, our work, that we don't have time for that. But it's a hard job, I think. Being active on everything. In most cases, luthiers are a one-man band. We do everything. It's one person do everything, so it's not so easy spend time. And we like to go to guitar shows, to people test our instruments, to talk with, to understand the needs of the musicians. But yeah, I agree completely that we need to be in this world. The main goal from the beginning was not copy any design. Of course, I get inspired by many luthiers, by many brands, but I always prefer do my designs, my configurations. For example, we can customize any of my shapes to your design, but don't ask me to do a copy, because I think is not. I prefer be a creator than a taker, I think.